Dank u wel. En ik wil het eens maar op dezelfde manier terugzetten. But I think it's better do it in English. I'm born in 1938, 2 years before World War II. I grew up on a farmhouse in the Lake District in the middle of the province of Friesland in the northern part of Holland. We really lived in the middle of nowhere. Our farm could only reach by boat. Everything had to be transported by water. The milk in cans twice a day, sometimes cattle fodder, the postman, and also the baker and the grocer. We had no electricity. We had no gas. We had no water laid on, and we didn't have a telephone connection. And when, for example, my grandparents wanted to visit us, they first had to send a postcard to make an appointment so we could pick them up. We, as children, we also went to school by boat. We were fetched and brought back every day. And it took 1 hour and a half for one trip because we had to pick up other children at different places. And sometimes when we were at school and weather turned out to be bad, we had to stay with friends. But we could not inform our parents, and my mother had to trust that we were safe. Our house was located in a small polder that was drained by means of a windmill. And our polder was surrounded by very extensively used farmland with a lot of birds, like ruff, shoveler, short-eared owl, and godwit. And these are rare now, but they were very common in those days. Due to heavy use, nowadays there is practically no place anymore for meadow birds in modern farmland. Often, in wintertime, all the surrounding farmland around our farmhouse was flooded. And it took my father, together with his farmhand, many trouble to keep our own polder dry. My parents had a hard time, but we as children, we loved it. We had a marvelous time. We grew up within and with nature. And when it started to freeze, we were completely isolated until the ice was thick enough for skating and milk transport. And under these circumstances, I learned how to manage ice. And in my later role as Icemaster and president of the famous 11-city tour, I have benefited greatly from these practical experience. The 11-city tour, in Dutch we call it 11-stedentocht, is a special event that only occurs 15 times last century. And to organize this trip, we need a severe winter because of the ice on the 200 kilometers long track along all the 11 cities in the province of Friesland has to be strong enough to bear 300 race skaters and about 16,000 tour skaters. And I'll show you a video of the last tour in 1997. Het giet on.
And that means it's on.
And the winner is a hero forever. The last tour was 15 years ago in 1997, as you showed before. The way I grew up has had an important influence on my later life. We had a very small ecological footprint, but I never felt that I was missing something. I got my first job at the Technical University in Delft, and I was already married, and we had a boy of 6 weeks when we moved from Friesland. We got an apartment on the 11th floor. And when I arrived in Delft with my family, I looked up to the top of that immense building where our apartment was situated. And at that moment, I felt really unhappy. I realized that if electricity went out, we couldn't live there because we had no light. We had no water, we had no heating, but there was also no elevator. And you can't walk up and down 22 stairs every day with a 6-week-old baby. And this dependence depressed me deeply. My wife and I were very happy when we, after 6 years, got the opportunity to move again to a house with a garden in a small village, of course, in my province again, where we still live and where we can survive under bad circumstances, even without electrical energy. But I will not glorify the days of my youth. My mother was very glad when she got water laid on and when she got a washing machine. Cleaning milk cans in wintertime in the open air is really not a pleasure. I'm very concerned about the future of our planet. The growth of population and the increase in consumption puts an increasing burden on our natural resources. We pretend that they are inexhaustible. But we cannot continue on this way. We have to change our way of life, and we have to share and share alike. It's ridiculous that 1 billion people suffer from hunger, and that 1 billion is too fat. 6 years ago, I rode a bike with others to Ghana in Africa. We raised a lot of money for educational projects in Western Africa. A wonderful trip through very different landscapes and also very special through the context with the various people we had, and all these people were involved with the project we supported. But there were also violent confrontations. When we pitched our tents in the savannah along the road in Mali, a distraught family came along with a dangerously ill boy on a donkey cart. The family pleaded for help, but the nurse who was with us did send them out of the camp immediately without any discussion. Out, she said. We were flabbergasted. But she declares to us, I'm not a doctor. I do not know what ails him. Maybe I'll get an infectious disease within our camp, and I am responsible for all of us. I will not bring our group in danger, and I cannot really help. We understood her decision, but everyone felt very, very unhappy. For us, everything was well organized. We had a bag full of drugs with us, and in case of emergency, we would be evacuated or to Europe or to South Africa. And this guy missed the most basic care, and we left him to his fate. It's not only the depletion of natural resources, but also the consequences of our behavior, such as climate change and pollution. The biggest drama occurs in the oceans, where all the plastic accumulates. This plastic soup is a huge threat to the entire ecosystem. Chris Jordan did research on Midway Atoll, a very remote place in the Pacific Ocean, somewhere in the middle of the eastern rubbish patch. And he discovered that young albatrosses are dying because of their stomach is totally filled up with plastic garbage. They are fed by their parents with trash, what looks to them like food. He even found cigarette lighters and complete toothbrushes in the bellies of the nesting baby birds. And Chris Jordan has put a video, and I'll show you a little part of this video.
So here's a pretty freshly dead carcass, probably died in the last couple weeks. Oh my God. And it's a couple inches deep, because when we reach underneath, oh my Lord. So there it is. The stomach contents of one dead baby bird in one of the remotest marine sanctuaries on Earth.
This is enough to make me cry. Charles Moore was the first one who addressed the problem of the plastic soup. He called it the plastic churchyard in the ocean. Fortunately, more and more people become aware of this huge problem, but a real solution is still far away. I graduated in 1969 on the Technical University in Delft. I combined work and study. And in the last years of my study, the first computer suitable for students appeared. It was, however, very cumbersome and time-consuming. I was much faster with my slide rule, and I felt also more confident with that. In over 40 years since that time, developments in this area have been incredibly fast. I'm pleased with this progress. It has an enormous impact on the field of the internet and social media. The world has become much smaller, and we are able to communicate very fast with people wherever they are on Earth. Since my retirement, I am working on a dream: the creation of a World Sustainability Center on the Afsluitdijk, the famous dike in the northern part of Holland. This center aims to increase public awareness in the field of sustainability and to change human behavior. In this center, we will create a war room or an acceleration room, whichever name you want to give it. And it will be a place where people meet who on one hand are going to fight pollution, they are fight the causes of climate change, the waste of raw materials and of food, and the destroying of nature. On the other hand, to find technical solutions to tackle these problems. There are a lot of problems that need attention. We will call this center Brinker, after the boy who saved Haarlem from flooding by putting his finger in the dike. But we live in bad times nowadays. Sustainability is increasingly important, but companies are reluctant to invest, and also the government keeps a tight hand on the purse. Seeing this, the realization of our center is far away, but I will not give up my dream. We can start with a virtual center, where especially young people meet. In a virtual center, young people all over the world can unite, and this can create a tremendous force. Darwin said it before, the most powerful force on earth is the public opinion. And Hansje Brinker will be a metaphor. One boy saved with one finger the inhabitants of the town from drowning. Last winter, it was the first time since 15 years that an Elfstedentocht was nearby. Because of climate change, the chance of a tour is shrinking. Personally, I think we will see an 11-city tour again, because cold winters will be there always from time to time. But statistics show that we will see more warm winters, so I believe that the frequency will definitely be lower. Scientists indicate that if the average temperature will rise with over 5 degrees by the year 2100, the chances of a tour will be close to 0. And this worries me, not only because of the loss of the tradition of the tour, but also because of the impact on the Friesland traditions I value so much. It's about living with nature, living with water, and living with ice in wintertime. This is for me also one of the reasons to fight climate change. I hope that my grandchildren and many other children on our planet will take over the baton from me and continue my struggle for a sustainable life on Earth. And I want to say for them, in that case, het giet on again. Thank you.